Hello and welcome to another Faceless video with Simon. I hope you're all well. Thank you for joining me for another price action analysis. Now, today is Wednesday, and that means on CME here, on the weekly time frame, there are 2 days, 3 hours to go. And as you can see, this week so far, it's been pretty bearish, this red candle here. Now, what's the pivot for that? Well, the pivot from a point of view of momentum, which I use the MACD for, is 64.8. So by the end of the week, for this to continue in a green, as in upward pointing manner, then Bitcoin needs to close on CME about $1,000 away from, or at least $1,000 south of where it is at the moment. So, anywhere above probably sort of 65,000 will be fine for continuation of upside momentum. Now, to give it a bit more context, if I throw on a cheeky Bollinger Band, you can see that the midpoint, so remember, volatility still hasn't expanded on a weekly time frame yet, but the midpoint is at around 63. So that's a real no-go zone. For Bitcoin, if this move is going to be the one that gives volatility expansion to the upside. And the reason I say that is if you get weekly candles below the midpoint of the Bollinger Band, and so down here, and then volatility expands, well, that's going to be a move to the downside. But the momentum is definitely still to the upside. Price action's above the midpoint of the Bollinger Band, so the cards are lining up for another move to the upside. Now, having said that, you might just continue consolidating, bouncing around between these two rather annoying areas of the mid-50s and basically 70,000. I very much hope it doesn't do that for too much longer, particularly as I have said that this is the week it'll all happen. Not sure it's looking like that now. Maybe it'll be next week, but I think it'll be quite soon that Bitcoin does make that volatility expansion on the weekly time frame, and I think it'll probably read to the upside. But I could be wrong, and that's why you have to keep an eye on your charts. So that's the weekly. Now I'm going to switch over to Bybit and have a look at the daily. So you can see I got a couple of lines on here. They're more pertinent to the 4-hour time frame, which I'll show you in a moment. But as I said yesterday, the Bollinger Band midpoint, so the 20 SMA on the Bollinger Band on this daily time frame, has moved up a little bit with yesterday's closure. And it's getting quite close to my support resistance line, which is coming in basically around 65-ish. The pivot for momentum, however, is 68. So it looks like the momentum on the daily is still cooling off, even though it's to the upside. And with Bitcoin being $2,000 shy of the momentum turning back to the upside, I don't think that's going to happen today because there's only 5 hours left to go on this daily closure. But you never know what might happen overnight. So momentum still very strongly to the upside on the daily time frame. You can see the trend is definitely to the upside. It's just waning a little bit here. Excuse me. No surprise to have a bit of a pullback from that 70,000 mark. Now I'm going to jump down to the 4-hour. And as you can see, there has been some 4-hour volatility expansion to the downside. Now, I'm just going to keep the picture a bit cleaner by showing the Fibonacci retracement without the Bollinger Band on. So I pointed this out the last few days, and you can see the two lines of support. Oh, I didn't quite get that right. Something like that. So the first line of support resistance, which held up for a good while, was this blue line. It came in at sort of 68.5-ish. Was that right? No, 66.5, sorry. And then the 382, which is more of a normal pullback in a strong trending move, was coming in at 60, somewhere between 65 and 65.5. And that's where price looks like it's finding some support now, which is my other blue line. could come back down further. And if it did come down further, probably somewhere between 64 and 64.5 would be a good target. I think that's less likely, but we shall see. We'll see what happens with the time. With time, sorry. You can see momentum shifted to the downside as of yesterday evening on the 4-hour, and so it is now below the Bollinger Band. It'll continue to the downside unless Bitcoin closes 4 hours back above basically 67,000, which is about $1,000 away from at the moment. If you check on the Bollinger Band, so you can see how I like using the MACD in combination with Bollinger Bands, as I'm sure you've realized. So with this 4-hour candle closed below the midpoint of the Bollinger Band, it consolidated sideways, but then as momentum flipped to the downside with the MACD crossing below the zero line, that then gave rise to volatility expansion to the downside. This last 4-hour candles are looking a bit more like could be in a reversal position, although I do not trade candles on their own. And how many? So there's 1 hour left to go in this 4-hour candle. You can see it's coming in around that support resistance level, so maybe it will be a reversal candle, but I don't trade them on their own. Maybe you can. I certainly cannot. So we'll see what happens come tomorrow's video. But this would be a really good place for Bitcoin to at least consolidate sideways on this lower time frame, or even have a nice bounce. If it did have a bounce and then started closing 4-hour candles back above 67, i.e. this support resistance level, then I'd start to get confident that the next move is going to be a 4-hour and probably daily move to the upside, rather than further consolidation or a further pullback. Okay, there you go. I hope that was useful. I hope you enjoyed it. You will get to see my face again soon. Maybe you don't want to, but you will. Once I've sorted out the replacement technology, normal transmission will be resumed, and I look forward to facing you rather than just talking to you. Okay, take care, guys. Please like and subscribe, share with your friends, and I'll see you tomorrow for Thursday. Bye-bye.